Welcome back to the channel. Yes, you can. My name is Hannah. My mission on the channel is to empower the everyday individual with their home improvement projects. We are back with what for now is the last video in this series, unless I decide to add another one. And in this video, we will be demoing how to change this lovely outlet to all white. Right now the plate is silver and the outlet itself is cream, and we are going to replace both of them so that they are lovely and white. As I have in the other videos, I want to start with a disclaimer that it is important to check any local ordinances before you start any projects to determine if it is okay for someone who isn't a licensed electrician to proceed with these projects. All right, let's get started. So I have my tools ready to go, which I will be pulling those up to show you one at a time as we use those. And just for the sake of time, I did go ahead before I started this video and turn the power off. So I have the outlet voltage detector plugged in right now, and none of the lights are lit up. So when the power was on, and I will show you once we finish the outlet, we should see just these two on the right lit up, and the red one should not be. So there's a little bit of a grid on the top which shows what it should look like if everything is correctly wired. So this just gives us an initial idea if the voltage, truly there isn't any flowing through this outlet. One other thing that we're going to check before we take any screws, wow, that's really in there, is I'm going to check my non-contact voltage tester. I am doing this video and the last one pretty closely together, and so I already tested in this outlet when the power was on. When I stuck it in the hot side, it got red and flashed at me, and so this time we're checking in both hot sides of the outlet, no voltage. So we will test again when we take the plate off, but for now we are good to go. So we're just going to take off the faceplate and then we'll move to the next step. Also in this one, I did bring the flat edge of my screwdriver around it to try to be able to pop that off. Right, came off pretty easily, but again, because I ran the screwdriver around the edge. You'll see that just for safety precaution, and again, I haven't been shocked once, so my precautions have worked, but I'm going to use my non-contact voltage tester just again before I take anything else out of the box in case there was, I don't know, there's some random voltage there that wasn't captured or found when I used this before. So just gonna go around the outside. All right, not seeing anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off the top and the bottom screw of the old outlet. We can then just pull it out. And this, I was talking about in one of the previous videos about how there are all types of unique situations that you run into. And so I have not opened this one up previously, so I didn't know what we would see. And so we have, let me bring this a little bit closer. We have the white, so we have two neutral wires coming in onto this side. And then we have two black, or the hot wires, and we have one ground wire with this, let's positioned screw. Not really very green. It's a little bit dusty, but that's the ground screw. All right, so let me position it back up here. Okay. And I'm going to check one more time for safety. You know that safety is really important to me. So we're just going to, I know it was I've already tested multiple times, so probably if there was something when I held it up and showed you, would have, but we'll just go back in the box, make sure that everything is good to go. All right, should be good. Okay, so this is one of the scenarios that I talked about of it being it's all back wired. So I can either use my little tool here to push in the hole and then release the wire, or I can cut it. So I'm going to attempt to use this. It can be a little bit challenging to get the wire to release. So we'll see. You'll get to see actually how challenging or how easy it is in this one. But I do have enough extra wire. We're not down to like just a very small amount. And so I have some to sort of play around with. So the wire coming in, there is a hole right behind that. And I'm gonna, again, try to bring it in. To see if I can, so right with each wire, there's gonna be a small hole above or below it, depending on what way you talk about, what way you refer to that, that I'm gonna press my little tool into. So let me navigate back out there. So I'm gonna try pressing in the hole, and that should release the wire, again, in theory, and I should be able to pull it out. And sometimes I find I have to like get a little bit of leverage. And right now it's not being friendly. So I think, and this is pretty true to life, that I wasn't often able to get it to release easily. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and cut the wire as close as possible to the outlet, both on the, so remember the black is the hot, the white is the neutral. And we wanna make sure, so when we're replacing it, the hot goes to the gold screws, and the white, the neutral, goes to the silver screws. Our ground wire, which is this one right here, no insulation on it, that is going to go to the green screw right here. Okay? All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and cut all 4 wires, cut it as close to the outlet itself as we can. And then I'm just gonna, they're not live, but I'm just gonna move it sort of out of the way. Move it out of the way, and then we'll be stripping the wires. But for now, I just wanna get them sort of cut off. And I am also going to unscrew, right now what I'm doing is unscrewing the green ground screw from the copper non-insulated wire. And one thing that I'll call out about the ground screw and the wire, typically that's not in a shepherd's hook. This one will just sort of wrap around the screw, but it's, again, let me bring it closer so you can see it. This wire right here, so you can see not in a shepherd's hook, but just will go around the green screw. Okay, so we just have the 2 neutral wires that I'm going to be cutting. So the white wires, again, cut them as close as possible to the base. I'll sort of position them so that I don't accidentally cut the other wire. Okay, so we can now get rid of this. Done with that. Okay, so what I'm going to do next, I'm going to just pull the white off to the side, and we're going to move to stripping it. So I mentioned on the back of the outlet, there is a strip gauge. So maybe you can see right here, it shows the amount of wire that you would need to strip. So I have now I'm going to use the wire stripper part of this. So I'm going to hold up the wire to that wire gauge to then identify how much wire I need to strip. Typically I give like a little bit extra. I don't want a lot hanging over, but I want sufficient. So I said typically you're going to have 14 or 12 gauge wire. I haven't always been able to sort of determine, so I'll sort of eyeball, I'll go with 14 or 12 and see which one seems to work for it. So I just need to find, so you have these little grooves, and I'll match up the one that's either 14 or 12, and then I'm going to clamp it down and sort of pull off. So I'll try to demonstrate a couple of times, and then the second two I'll just do. So you'll hold up the amount they need to strip, and then I'll go in, I think that's 14, and then I'll press down. So I cut the wire, I can feel that, and then I'm gonna twist up, twist down, twist sort of all around, and then I'm gonna pull off. All right, and you can see the wire came off, there the insulation came off, and I have the exposed wire. So we're good with that, and we will just twist this in our shepherd's hook. So we're gonna grab the top and then sort of twist it around. All right, so 1 down, 3 to go. We're making great progress. Okay, so I'm gonna go, and I will demonstrate this one again. I'll sort of go through the steps, and then the next two, I'll just go ahead and do for the sake of time. So I'm gonna go ahead and match up. How much wire do I need? And I believe this one, 14 seemed to work. So I'm gonna press down, twist all the way around, and then pull off. All right. And I will say, so the extra insulation, one time I thought it was like a worm because I found it. So if you can, just capture the insulation, and I have a garbage can right next to me. Try to do that right away. So I'm gonna capture, try to get the end of it, and then twist it in a nice shepherd's hook. Okay. All right, so our hot wires are taken care of. We're gonna do the exact same thing on the neutral side. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do those. All right, so we are done with that, and we have our 2 neutral, we have our ground wire down here, and we have our 2 hot. I keep them separate more so that when I'm attaching, it's a little bit easier, but I know that they're not live, so it's okay if any of them touch each other. Okay, so we're gonna move forward now with attaching. So black goes to gold screws, white goes to silver screws, ground wire goes to the green screw. Remember that we want to do it in a clockwise direction. And we also, so we should, really the stripping, the insulation is the part that takes the longest. Everything else should be pretty quick from this point out. And so I'm going to take the one screw, the wire, it doesn't matter which one goes on top or bottom for your hot side. So I'm going to just pull that screw again in a clockwise fashion. And I'm going to use my small needle nose pliers to just get that to go around the screw a little bit more closely. And then I'm going to screw it in. Screw that so it is very tight. And I have the wire, let me pull this a little bit closer just for this one. You can see that the wire is not hanging off when it comes out of or off of the, like by the terminal screw, we have insulation that's right here. The wire is all going to stay on the black piece. So we're just going to wrap it around in a similar fashion, again, in a clockwise direction for all 3 of the other screws. Okay, so let's grab our other hot, put that around. Again, I'm going to grab my small needle nose pliers just to get it a little bit closer. Grab my screwdriver. Okay, so we are next going to move on to the neutral side and put these screws around in the same way we did on the hot side. So again, we want to put them in a counterclockwise, or pardon me, in a clockwise direction. All right, and then for the ground screw, that is going to go around, or the ground wire is going to go around the green screw. And we'll screw that screw in a little bit. Or shouldn't say a little bit. We want it all the way in. Okay, so we have all the wires attached. So what I'm going to do now is carefully get those all back in the box. So yeah, so we're going to sort of do, I've heard in like an S-like fashion to push them back in. And then I'm going to line up the screws top and bottom, and I'm going to do about maybe 40% in on each screw, and then go to the bottom one. And you want it until the outlet is about flush with the wall. That way the outlet cover fits on nicely over it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this back in, and I'm going to go turn the breaker on. And so while I'm gone, this should turn back on, and then just want to ensure that everything is working the way it should, and then we'll put the faceplate back on. So I will be right back. All right, and you can see that we have the two lovely lights on, and the red is off, which that's the way it's supposed to be. So let's just check the one above. Looks good, and that just confirms that the hot and the neutral are in the right place, and that there isn't, I believe it also tests that there's not an open ground wire. So we're gonna go ahead and pull that out. And then I just double check, look in the box, make sure like nothing has fallen off, and also be careful because there is power going through that right now. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this on. And again, with the last video I mentioned, doing the screw being vertical. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Like the video, share any other tips that you have, and I hope that this series of videos has been helpful for you in increasing your confidence and believing that yes, you can when it comes to electrical projects. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.